Some athletes chase trophies. Cristiano Ronaldo looks like he's chasing something darker, the fear of being ordinary. Before the world called him CR7, he was a kid from Madeira, small island, small resources, big hunger, who learned early that talent isn't protection. Talent is a ticket, and if you don't pay for it with work, the ticket gets taken back. That's why his story doesn't feel like a fairy tale. It feels like a warning. When obsession meets discipline, it can build a legend or destroy the person inside it. Because Ronaldo isn't famous only for goals. He's famous for the way he refuses to stop. People love to call him a machine, but machines don't bleed. Machines don't get booed. Machines don't carry the weight of expectation from an entire generation, then keep walking forward anyway. Ronaldo did, over and over. From being mocked as a flashy teenager, to becoming the most relentless finisher on the biggest nights, to facing storms that weren't about football at all, controversies, headlines, and the kind of public scrutiny that turns a human life into a courtroom of opinions. So this video is not a highlight reel. This is a character story told in 6 parts. The roots that shaped his hunger, the rise that forged his mentality, the peak that made him a global symbol, the controversies that tested his image, the reinvention that proved his longevity, and the legacy question that still divides the world. Because the real question isn't, how many goals did he score? It's, what did it cost to become Cristiano Ronaldo, and why can't the world look away? Before Cristiano Ronaldo became a global symbol, he was a boy from Funchal, Madeira, an island that feels beautiful on postcards, but for many families, life there is built on work, not luxury. He was born on February 5, 1985, the youngest of 4 children, raised by a mother who worked multiple jobs and a father who worked municipal labor and also served as a part-time kit man at a local club. And that family detail matters, because it explains the engine inside him. He wasn't raised to expect comfort. He was raised to fight for space. Ronaldo's first football world was small. Local pitches, local teams, local eyes. He played for Andorrinha, where his father worked as the kit man and later joined Nassr. But the most defining moment of his early life wasn't a goal. It was separation. At 12 years old, he left Madeira to move to Lisbon and join Sporting CP's academy. Imagine that, a child walking into a new city, new accents, new pressure, while carrying one terrifying thought: if I fail, I go back. That kind of fear doesn't always break you. Sometimes it sharpens you into something relentless. Then came another test, one that could have ended the story before it became history. Multiple profiles note that as a teenager, Ronaldo faced a heart issue described as a form of tachycardia and underwent treatment surgery, allowing him to continue his football path. So when people say Ronaldo was born to win, they miss the truth. He was born into a life that taught him to outwork doubt, to survive distance, and to treat every setback like a personal insult. Madeira didn't make him famous. Madeira made him hungry. And once that hunger entered Sporting system, it didn't stay hunger anymore. It became a plan. In Lisbon, Ronaldo wasn't just training to be good. He was training to be unignorable. Sporting CP's academy sharpened him fast. Technique, speed, confidence, the kind of swagger that looks like arrogance until it becomes results. He rose through Sporting's youth system and reached the first team in 2002, still a teenager, already playing like someone who believed the pitch belonged to him. n.wikipedia.org. Then came the night that rewired his entire life. In August 2003, Sporting played Manchester United in the inaugural match at the Estadio José Alvalade. Ronaldo's performance caught United's attention immediately, and within days, he signed for Manchester United, a transfer that turned a Portuguese teenager into a Premier League headline. Britannica.com. But England didn't welcome him gently. The Premier League was physical, unforgiving, and brutally skeptical of flashy young players. Ronaldo arrived with stepovers, speed, and ambition, and he got mocked for being showy. Critics saw tricks, opponents saw a target, fans saw potential and impatience, and the most important thing is, he didn't run from that pressure. He used it. At Manchester United, under Sir Alex Ferguson, Ronaldo was forced to evolve. Not just to entertain, but to finish. Not just to dribble, but to decide matches. Over the next few years, he transformed from a talented winger into a terrifying scorer, an athlete who treated improvement like a daily obligation. The proof arrived in the 2007-08 season. Ronaldo scored at elite levels, helped United win the Premier League and the UEFA Champions League, and then won his first Ballon d'Or in 2008. Wikipedia.org. That year wasn't simply a success, it was a message. It told the football world that Ronaldo wasn't going to be remembered as the kid with tricks. He was going to be remembered as a problem, the kind defenders fear, the kind coaches build around, the kind rivals measure themselves against. And here's the twist: winning didn't calm him. Winning raised the standard, and the standard became an addiction. Because once you taste being the best, second place doesn't feel like silver. It feels like failure, which is why the next move was inevitable. If Manchester United forged the weapon, Real Madrid would become the battlefield where Ronaldo tried to become something even bigger than a star, a myth. In 2009, Ronaldo didn't just change clubs, he changed gravity. Manchester United accepted a world record $80 million offer from Real Madrid, and suddenly the story wasn't, can he be great? It was, can he justify a price that large every single week? Because Real Madrid isn't a team you join to grow, it's a team you join to prove. And Ronaldo arrived like a man who had already decided the outcome. The goals came fast. The confidence never dipped. But what made him terrifying wasn't just the scoring, it was the rhythm. The way he treated every season like a personal argument with the universe. One more title. One more record. One more reason nobody could dismiss him as just an athlete. This is where the obsession becomes visible. At Madrid, Ronaldo wasn't chasing applause. He was chasing certainty. The certainty that nobody could take his greatness away with a bad month, a bad headline, or a new rising star. He stacked numbers until the numbers themselves became armor. And then he built a Champions League identity that felt almost mythical. Ronaldo became the competition's all-time top scorer with 140 goals, a record that's been cited repeatedly by UEFA and tracked across seasons like a sacred statistic. That number isn't just a record. It's a personality trait. Show up when it matters again and again until big game becomes your natural habitat. But peak eras always come with a shadow. When you're that dominant, people stop enjoying you and start auditing you. They count your goals like a court counts evidence. They compare you to other legends. They debate whether your greatness is talent or work or ego. And Ronaldo, by existing the way he does, makes the argument unavoidable because he refuses to be modest in a world that loves humble champions. He's not the type who says, I'm lucky. He's the type who says, I earned it. And that honesty is magnetic and infuriating. Real Madrid also did something else to him. It sharpened his relationship with pressure into something almost supernatural. Because when you score in the biggest stadiums, under the heaviest expectations, you either crumble or you build an identity that feeds on the noise. Ronaldo fed on it. But here's the twist the highlight reels never show. The higher your empire rises, the more fragile your image becomes. Because when you're at the top, the public doesn't just watch your goals, they watch your choices, your moves, your private life, your headlines. And the same world that built you is always ready to enjoy your fall more than your success. That's why the next chapter matters. Not because it erases what he achieved, but because it reveals the price of becoming a global symbol. Controversies, scrutiny, and moments that pulled Ronaldo into storms that had nothing to do with football and everything to do with power, money, and reputation. At the top of the world, Ronaldo wasn't just a player anymore. He was a brand, a headline, a symbol people could either worship or attack. And when you become that big, controversy doesn't need to be proved to become powerful. Sometimes it only needs to be loud. The first storm that followed him was about money and legitimacy. In Spain, Ronaldo became involved in a high-profile tax fraud case. In 2019, he accepted a deal that included a fine and a suspended prison sentence, which meant he would not serve jail time under the terms of the agreement. Reuters. Calm. To some people, that moment was proof he was untouchable. To others, it was simply a reminder that fame and law live in complicated neighborhoods. But even that wasn't the storm that truly reshaped his image. The more explosive controversy involved a civil lawsuit in the United States related to allegations of rape in Las Vegas. Ronaldo denied wrongdoing, and in 2022, a U.S. judge dismissed the lawsuit, citing issues tied to the plaintiff's lawyer's use of leaked, privileged documents and related procedural problems. Reuters. Com. This part of his public story is important to handle with care because it shows how modern fame operates. Even when a case is dismissed, the public argument can continue indefinitely, because what people debate isn't only legality, it's morality, image, and trust. And that's the cruel reality of being Ronaldo. When you're small, you're judged for your performance. When you're huge, you're judged for your existence. Then came another storm, one that was purely football, but felt like identity collapse. In 2022, his relationship with Manchester United ended after a turbulent period that included a controversial interview and a contract termination. Shortly after, he signed with Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia, a move that shocked some fans, angered others, and forced the world to ask a different question. Is this a decline or a reinvention? AlJazeera.com. The argument became brutal. Some said he was chasing money. Some said he was escaping Europe. Some said he was finishing his career where the pressure is easier. But if you understand Ronaldo's psychology, you see the deeper truth. He doesn't move like someone who accepts endings. He moves like someone who refuses to be written out. And that's why Saudi Arabia wasn't a quiet retirement for him. It was a challenge to his own narrative, a way to prove he could still create gravity, still draw attention, still score, still dominate headlines, just in a different arena. Because Ronaldo's career isn't a straight line. Not because it erases what he achieved, but because it reveals the price of becoming a global symbol. Controversies, scrutiny, and moments that pulled Ronaldo into storms that had nothing to do with football and everything to do with power, money, and reputation. Most legends don't lose their talent first. They lose their time. That's why Ronaldo's late career story is so revealing. He's not just competing against defenders anymore. He's competing against the calendar. When he joined Al Nassr in late 2022, the world framed it as an ending. But in 2025, the club announced he had signed a new contract extension through 2027, a statement that he wasn't done being central, not even close. Al Jazeera. And while club debates rage, his international record sits like a monument. Ronaldo is recognized as the all-time leading scorer in men's international football. UEFA.com. So what is Ronaldo's real legacy? It's not just goals. It's the standard he forced into the sport, that talent is only the entry fee, and discipline is what buys greatness over and over again. He made obsession look normal. He made recovery, diet, training, and self-belief part of the myth. And maybe that's why people can't stop arguing about him. Because Ronaldo is uncomfortable proof of a hard truth. If someone can push themselves this far, then average isn't fate. It's a choice. And that idea threatens people. So here's the final question, one that decides how history will remember him. Was Cristiano Ronaldo a born genius, or a man who built genius out of fear, hunger, and relentless work? If you had to choose one word for him, talent or obsession, which one would it be?